Picture this: Birmingham Arena, 1985. 70,000 screaming fans packed like sardines, the air thick with anticipation and the smell of rebellion. Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness himself, stands center stage, drenched in sweat, his voice tearing through Crazy Train like a demon possessed. The guitar riffs are shaking the very foundation of the building. The crowd is losing their minds, hands thrust toward the sky, bodies colliding in the mosh pit below. This is rock and roll at its most primal, its most dangerous, its most alive. And then silence. Ozzy's hand shoots up mid-scream, cutting off the band with a gesture so abrupt that Randy Rhoads' guitar squeals into nothingness. The drums stop. The bass dies. 70,000 voices catch in 70,000 throats. The entire arena holds its breath, suspended in a moment so surreal that people would question their own memories for decades to come. What could possibly make the madman of rock and roll stop dead in his tracks? What force on earth could command such instant, absolute silence from the most chaotic performer in music history? Have you ever witnessed something so shocking that time seemed to stand still? The impossible moment. Ozzy's eyes, usually wild and unfocused behind his trademark circular sunglasses, are locked on something at the back of the arena. His mouth hangs open, not in his usual theatrical snarl, but in genuine, unfiltered shock. The band members exchange confused glances. The security guards at the front of the stage crane their necks, trying to see what their boss has spotted. The crowd begins to murmur, a low rumble of confusion spreading through the masses like ripples on a dark pond. Ladies and gentlemen, Ozzy's voice cuts through the PA system, but it's different. Gone is the growl, the sneer, the playful menace. This voice is respectful, humble even. We have someone very special in the building tonight. The crowd's murmur grows louder. Someone special, at an Ozzy concert. This is the show where people bite heads off bats, where chaos is the only rule, where authority figures are mocked and rebellion is religion. Who could possibly command respect in this temple of madness? Ozzy removes his sunglasses slowly, deliberately, revealing eyes that are suddenly sober, suddenly aware of something bigger than the show, bigger than the performance, bigger than the legend he's built around himself. His hand trembles slightly as he points toward the VIP section, elevated above the general admission chaos, where the lighting is dimmer and privacy is supposed to be guaranteed. Would you believe what happened next if someone told you this story? The royal revelation, Princess Diana, Ozzy says into the microphone, his Birmingham accent thick with emotion, has just entered the building. The arena explodes, not with cheers, not yet, but with gasps. A collective intake of breath so powerful, it seems to suck the oxygen from the room. Princess Diana? Teach Princess Diana? The people's princess, the most photographed woman in the world, the icon of grace and compassion who has graced the covers of every magazine from Vogue to Time, is here. At an Ozzy Osbourne concert. In the VIP section, barely visible through the strategic lighting and positioning designed to protect high-profile guests, movement confirms what seems impossible. A figure in a simple but elegant dark jacket, that unmistakable blonde hair catching fragments of stage light, stands with two security personnel. She's not in her usual formal attire. No tiara, no gown, no royal regalia. She's dressed down, almost casual, trying to blend in. But there's no hiding that posture, that unmistakable presence that has captivated the world. The crowd is frozen in a state of cognitive dissonance. Their brains are trying to reconcile two completely opposite universes: the raw, dangerous world of heavy metal and the refined, carefully controlled world of British royalty. It's like matter meeting antimatter, like water mixing with fire, like everything they thought they knew about social boundaries suddenly dissolving into impossibility. Ozzy stands there, microphone in hand, looking more vulnerable than he's ever appeared on stage. This is a man who has shocked the world countless times, who has built a career on breaking every rule society holds dear. But faced with actual royalty, the working-class boy from Birmingham suddenly remembers every lesson his mother ever taught him about respect and propriety. What would you do if you suddenly found yourself face to face with royalty in the most unexpected place? The backstory unfolds what the crowd doesn't know, what nobody knew until years later when the story finally leaked through palace insiders, is that this moment was no accident. Princess Diana had been planning this secret visit for 3 months, working with her security detail and a few trusted confidants to pull off what might be the most audacious break from protocol in modern royal history. It started, according to those insiders, with a conversation Diana had with Prince William, who was 12 years old at the time. William had discovered rock music through friends at school, and his mother, always keen to understand what her sons were interested in, asked him to play some of his favorite songs for her. Among them was Ozzy's Crazy Train. Diana found herself captivated not by the heavy riffs or the screaming vocals, but by the raw emotion, the unbridled energy, the sense of freedom that seemed to pulse through every note. Music shouldn't have boundaries, she reportedly told her closest friend Lady Sarah McCorquodale. Why should I? But this wasn't just about music. Diana was in the midst of what the press would later call her a rebellious face. Those years after the fairy tale had crumbled, after the world had seen the cracks in the royal marriage, after she'd decided that protocol and tradition shouldn't define every moment of her life. She wanted to feel normal, if only for one night. She wanted to experience something real, something unscripted, something that wasn't measured and photographed and analyzed by every media outlet in the world. Getting approval from her security team was the first battle. Getting them to not inform the palace was the second. And getting a ticket to a sold-out Ozzy Osbourne concert required calling in favors from people who had connections in the music industry. The operation had more moving parts than a state visit, but Diana was determined. Have you ever done something completely out of character just to feel alive? The electric silence back in the arena, the silence continues. It's been 30 seconds now, an eternity in concert time. Some fans in the front rows have tears streaming down their faces, overwhelmed by the sheer impossibility of the moment. Others are frantically looking around, trying to confirm with their own eyes what Ozzy has announced. The VIP section has become the focal point of 70,000 pairs of eyes, a spotlight of collective attention more intense than any stage light could produce. Ozzy seems uncertain, a state so foreign to his stage persona that it's almost unsettling. He looks back at his band, as if seeking guidance, then back toward the VIP section. His mouth opens and closes several times before any words come out. He starts, and nervous laughter ripples through the crowd. The Prince of Darkness is stammering. I've never stopped a show before. Not for anyone. But, bloody hell, this is different, innit? More laughter, warmer now. The tension is beginning to break, replaced by something else. A collective sense of witnessing history. This isn't just a concert anymore. This is a moment that will be talked about for generations, a story that will grow with each retelling until it becomes legend. In the VIP section, Princess Diana does something that makes the moment transcend from merely shocking to genuinely magical. She steps forward, closer to the railing where she can be seen more clearly. She raises her hand and waves, not a royal wave, not that practiced, economic gesture she uses at official functions, but a real, enthusiastic wave like a regular concertgoer acknowledging the band. And then, impossibly, she smiles. That famous Diana smile, the one that has melted hearts across the globe, is beaming down at Ozzy Osbourne and his legions of head-banging fans. The arena erupts. The cheers are deafening, a wall of sound that might actually be louder than the music was moments before. People are crying, screaming, jumping, hugging strangers next to them. This is bigger than rock and roll. This is a moment of pure human connection, a bridge between worlds that were never supposed to touch. Can you imagine the energy in that room, the electricity of that impossible moment? Ozzy's dilemma, but now Ozzy faces a problem he's never encountered before. How do you continue a show after this? How do you return to business as usual when reality itself seems to have shifted? His setlist, carefully crafted to take fans on a journey from chaos to catharsis, suddenly seems inadequate. Every song choice feels weighted with new meaning. Does he do Crazy Train, the song that supposedly drew Diana here? Does he play something softer? Something more appropriate for royal ears? Or does he do what Ozzy Osbourne has always done? Throw caution to the wind and deliver pure, unfiltered rock and roll. He makes his decision in an instant, the kind of split-second choice that defines legends. He turns to the band, whispers something quick, and turns back to the microphone. "Your Highness," he says, and the formal address sounds both sincere and surreal coming from his mouth. "I'm told you're a fan of Crazy Train. But I'm thinking, tonight, we do something different. Something special." The crowd leans in, collectively holding its breath again. What's he planning? "We're gonna play every bloody song like it's our last show on Earth," Ozzy declares, his voice building in intensity, "because tonight, we've got the most important audience member in the history of rock and roll. Tonight, we show Her Royal Highness what Birmingham really sounds like." The crowd roars approval. In the VIP section, Diana is laughing, clearly delighted by the whole spectacle. Her security detail looks less amused, constantly scanning the crowd, hands near their concealed weapons, ready to evacuate her at the first sign of trouble. But Diana herself seems more relaxed than she's appeared in public for months. She's not the princess here, she's just another fan. Ozzy counts off, and the band launches into Bark at the Moon. with an intensity that somehow surpasses everything that came before. But there's a change in the performance. Ozzy keeps glancing up at the VIP section, not with nervousness now, but with what can only be described as protective pride. She chose to come here. She chose his concert, his music, his world. And he's going to make damn sure she gets the best show of her life. Have you ever performed or done something with your absolute best effort because someone special was watching? The Underground Network, what happened in those 3 months leading up to this moment, is a story of intrigue worthy of a spy thriller. Diana's determination to attend the concert required assembling what one security officer later called the most elaborate civilian protection operation outside of actual espionage. It started with Lady Sarah, Diana's sister, who had connections in the music industry through her husband. A carefully worded inquiry reached Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy's wife and manager, who immediately understood both the opportunity and the immense responsibility. Sharon became the secret coordinator, working with Diana's team to plan every detail. The tickets were purchased through a shell company. The VIP section was quietly modified, with additional exits planned and security protocols enhanced without drawing attention. A decoy motorcade was arranged to mislead any paparazzi who might catch wind of Diana's movements. Even the timing was strategic. The concert was scheduled during a period when Diana had a legitimate reason to be in Birmingham for a hospital visit, providing cover for her actual destination. The hardest part was keeping it secret from the palace. Diana's official security, loyal to her but also bound by protocol, walked a fine line between protecting her safety and respecting her fierce desire for independence. They made calls, pulled strings, and quietly activated resources that technically shouldn't have been used for a concert visit. "We're not here officially," one security officer reportedly told his team. "As far as anyone is concerned, this never happened. But if anything goes wrong, we were always here, always protecting her." Understood. The night of the concert, Diana left Kensington Palace in regular evening attire, supposedly heading to dinner with friends. She changed in the car, switching to the more casual jacket and jeans that would help her blend in. Her hair, usually perfectly styled, was simply pulled back. She wore minimal makeup. She looked, in the words of one team member, like someone who actually wanted to disappear into a crowd. Would you go to such elaborate lengths to experience something you truly wanted? The performance of a lifetime back in the arena. Ozzy is delivering the performance of his career. Each song is infused with an energy that transcends his usual theatrical madness. He's not just entertaining now, he's representing something bigger. He's proving that music truly is the universal language, that rock and roll belongs to everyone regardless of title or status. Between songs, he keeps up a running commentary that has the crowd in stitches. "I've been kicked out of better places than I've been invited to," he jokes, "and now I've got royalty at my show. Mum would be so proud." And confused, definitely confused. The audience roars with laughter. In the VIP section, Diana is seen laughing along, completely at ease. This is what she came for. Not to be treated as special or different, but to be part of something real and human and joyfully chaotic. During Flying High Again, something extraordinary happens. The entire VIP section, Diana included, is on their feet, moving to the music, not dancing exactly. Her security team wouldn't allow her to let go that much, but swaying, nodding, completely absorbed in the moment. A fan with a camera. This is 1985, before cell phones, when cameras at concerts were rare and precious, snaps a photo that will become legendary. A slightly blurry image of a woman who looks like she could be anyone, lost in the music, free from the weight of the world's expectations. That photo will surface years later, after Diana's tragic death, and it will break hearts all over again. Because in that image, captured accidentally by a fan who didn't even know who he was photographing, you can see something precious and rare, a genuine joy on the face of a woman who had so little of it in her public life. What's your most treasured memory of feeling completely free and alive? The unexpected connection. As the concert progresses, something else unusual happens. Ozzy starts to direct certain songs specifically toward the VIP section, making subtle dedications that only those paying close attention would notice. Before "Goodbye to Romance," he pauses and says, "This one's for anyone who's ever felt trapped by what other people expect them to be." The meaning isn't lost on Diana, who according to later accounts felt that song deeply. Her life has been defined by others' expectations: be the perfect princess, produce heirs, maintain the image, never complain, never explain. This song, with its themes of breaking free from past constraints and finding your own path, resonates with her on a level that protocol and propriety never allowed her to express. The crowd, now fully aware of her presence, begins to respond to her rather than just observe her. When Ozzy encourages audience participation, the VIP section becomes part of the collective voice. When he asks for raised fists, Diana's hand goes up, tentatively at first, then more confidently. She's not just watching anymore, she's participating. She's not the princess. She's a fan. Her security team is growing increasingly nervous. Every minute she stays makes their job harder. The crowd knows she's here now, and while the atmosphere remains respectful, there's always danger in large gatherings. They've already exceeded the planned duration of the visit. But Diana shows no signs of wanting to leave. Just one more song, she reportedly tells her lead security officer. Please, just one more. How do you say no to that? How do you deny someone whose entire life is dictated by duty and obligation one more moment of genuine happiness? Would you risk breaking the rules to protect someone's moment of pure joy? The final song, Ozzy must know the evening is reaching its conclusion. Security concerns aside, the emotional weight of the moment can't sustain much longer. The band is running on pure adrenaline, and even the crowd's energy, supernatural though it has been, must eventually fade. He makes a gesture to the band, and they immediately understand. This is it. The final song. The one that will close this impossible, magical, historic evening. Your Highness, Ozzy says, his voice carrying a sincerity that surprises even himself. I've played for millions of people. I've played stadiums and arenas all over the world. But I've never, ever been more honored to play than I am right now. This last song, this is for you. This is for everyone who's ever felt like they don't fit in, who's ever wanted to break free, who's ever just wanted to be themselves without the world watching and judging. He pauses, and the arena is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. This is Dreamer. The opening notes fill the arena, and there's something perfect about the choice. Dreamer is one of Ozzy's more melodic songs, less aggressive than his usual fare, but no less powerful. It's about hope, about believing in something better, about refusing to let the world's cynicism crush your spirit. As Ozzy sings, something magical happens. The harsh stage lights dim slightly, and thousands of lighters flicker to life across the arena. This is 1985, remember, before cell phone lights. It's spontaneous, unplanned, a collective gesture of respect and connection. The arena becomes a sea of tiny flames, each one representing a person, an individual, a dreamer. In the VIP section, Diana's eyes glisten with unshed tears. Later accounts will describe this as one of the most emotional moments of her life, not because of the spectacle, but because of the acceptance. Here, in this most unlikely of places, she is simply one person among thousands, united by music, by shared humanity, by the simple act of being present in a moment. Have you ever felt completely understood and accepted in the most unexpected place? The departure as the final notes of Dreamer fade into silence. The arena erupts in applause that seems to shake the very foundations of the building. It goes on and on, wave after wave of sound. People are crying openly now, overwhelmed by the emotional intensity of the evening. Ozzy takes a bow, then does something that will be discussed for decades. He looks up at the VIP section and places his hand over his heart, a simple gesture of respect and gratitude. Diana responds by applauding, her hands visible above the railing, joining the thousands of others showing their appreciation. Then, as smoothly as professionals executing a well-rehearsed plan, Diana's security team begins moving her toward the exit. She resists for just a moment. One last look at the stage, one last absorption of the atmosphere, one last second of being normal. Then she turns and disappears through a private corridor that leads to a secured exit. The crowd sees her go, and instead of rushing toward her, instead of trying to get closer or snap photos or grab a moment of her attention, they simply continue applauding. It's a gesture of respect, of gratitude for her presence, of acknowledgement that she gave them something rare: trust. Ozzy stands on stage, still holding his microphone, watching the VIP section even after she's gone. When he finally speaks, his voice is thick with emotion. I've been called a lot of things in my life, he says. Madman, Prince of Darkness, a bad influence. But tonight I feel like I did something right. Tonight we showed that music doesn't care about titles or crowns. Music is for everyone. And Her Royal Highness just proved that. The crowd erupts again, and Ozzy, never one for prolonged sentimentality, breaks the tension with classic humor. Now get the hell out of my arena, and go home before I change my mind and play another 2 hours! Would you have wanted that night to go on forever, or was the perfect ending letting her leave with dignity? The aftermath, what happened after that night, is a story of carefully managed silence and slowly leaking secrets. Officially, Princess Diana was never at that concert. Palace records show she was at a private dinner that evening. The media, usually rabid for any Diana story, somehow missed it entirely. The security operation had worked perfectly. But rumors began to spread. Concertgoers told their friends, who told their friends, who told their friends. That fan with the camera developed his film and found the blurry image of someone who looked remarkably like the princess. Music magazines heard whispers and tried to investigate, but found no confirmation. Sharon Osbourne, when asked years later, gave a cryptic smile and said, "I'll never tell." Ozzy himself has told versions of this story over the years, sometimes confirming details, sometimes being deliberately vague, always protective of Diana's memory. The one thing everyone agrees on that night changed something. For the fans who were there, it became their most treasured concert memory, the night when impossible worlds collided and created something beautiful. For Diana's security team, it remained a source of pride and terror. They pulled off the impossible, but the risk still gives them nightmares. For Diana herself, according to those closest to her, that night became a touchstone. Whenever the pressures of royal life became too much, whenever protocol and duty felt suffocating, she would remember the Ozzy concert. She would remember standing in a crowd, anonymous and free, just another person experiencing the transcendent power of music. And for Ozzy, he's played thousands of concerts since then, filled stadiums, won awards, become a legend multiple times over. But when asked about his most memorable show, he always comes back to that night in Birmingham. "I've done a lot of crazy things," he once said in an interview. "But having Princess Diana at my concert, that's the one thing nobody can top. That's the night the Prince of Darkness met the people's princess, and for a few hours we were all just human." The legacy, the story of that night has taken on mythological proportions in rock and roll folklore. Some details have been embellished over the years, others forgotten, but the core truth remains. On one impossible evening in 1985, Princess Diana broke every rule of royal protocol to attend an Ozzy Osbourne concert, and in doing so, created a moment that transcended both rock and roll and royalty. It became a symbol of Diana's rebellious spirit, her determination to live life on her own terms despite the constraints of her position. It became a testament to music's power to unite people across every conceivable boundary, and it became a story that rock fans and royal watchers alike treasure. Proof that sometimes the most extraordinary moments come from the most unexpected combinations. The blurry photograph from that night eventually surfaced in the late 1990s, after Diana's death. It was published in a music magazine alongside accounts from concertgoers who were there. The image is grainy, shot from far away, barely showing any details. But you can see the smile, you can see the joy, you can see a woman who, for one evening, got to be exactly who she wanted to be. That photograph is now considered one of the most valuable pieces of rock and roll memorabilia in existence. Not because it's clear or professional, but because it captures something precious and rare. Freedom. If you could go back and witness any impossible moment in history, would this one make your list?